For the citizens interim tonight, I'm going to divide it into a couple different sections. I will call on the speakers that are speaking about a topic on the agenda immediately before the board discusses that agenda item. Before I read the preface to citizens interim, I'd like to make just a few comments before we start this meeting, because I know there's a lot of emotion about some of the topics that are on the agenda tonight. I would like to share when I was elected the chair of this board. One of my goals was to bring an increase in decorum and respect amongst the members and to the meetings. Not to say that my predecessor didn't do an excellent job, but I wanted more decorum, I wanted more respect, and I wanted a professional appearance here. And we've worked very hard to get that, and my fellow board members have worked with me to develop that. It is critically important that the members of the board and everyone on the dais is respectful to each other's views. Just because we differ in views doesn't make either of us wrong. It's critically important that those on the dais respect those in the audience and those that are speaking. It's critically important those in the audience are respectful to those on the dais. Part of what's prompted me to make these comments tonight before we get started is we had our meeting last week. I don't know how many of you were here at the meeting last week, but at the end of the meeting last week, I had several people come up to me, I presume they were faculty members, and they came to me and they said, you need to set aside your differences with Mike Mitchell. Just because the two of you don't like each other, you need to focus on the issues here. And as I was listening to them tell me I needed to set my personal feelings for Mr. Mitchell aside, I saw Mr. Mitchell going out the back door. And so I pulled away from them and I walked out to the foyer there, and I called to Mike on the steps. I'm sorry, Mr. Mitchell. And I said, Mike, and he turned and I said, are we good? And he came back up the stairs. We shook hands and he says, yeah, I understand. You have your job. I have my job. The emails I've gotten this week that describe these personal feelings, I want to share with everyone. I have no personal feelings that are negative towards Mr. Mitchell. I've met with him a number of times. I don't know him well, but from what I do know him, I like him. He and I could easily be friends. We are perhaps on different sides of some issues, but anyone who thinks that decisions up here are made on a personal basis, that any board member decides I dislike someone or I don't respect someone, you are tremendously misled. You have no concept of what goes on up here. No one up here is making any decisions on a personal basis of who they like or who they don't like. Everyone here, just like people on the other side of these microphones tonight that will be speaking to us, they're here because they believe in something. And regardless how a vote goes on any issue, it doesn't make either side wrong or foolish. Or I got one email somebody sent me, and they indicated that the chair on this board wasn't qualified to run a one-stall pay toilet. And that may well be correct. I don't know. But to personalize an argument like that, it's unfortunate. And I would hope that people in this room are professional enough to realize we're all here to do a job. And if we don't agree on everything, it doesn't mean it's one side against the other. We can all work together for the good of Maricopa. With that, I'm going to go ahead and read the preface to the first Citizens Interim. And we will start with speakers that are not speaking on an agenda topic tonight. The Citizens Interim is an opportunity for members of the public to address the governing board. In compliance with the open meeting law, the governing board will neither discuss nor take action on issues raised during this portion of the agenda. When necessary, issues will be taken under advisement and placed on subsequent agenda. Presenting concerns to the board and the free expression of ideas should be communicated with decorum and respect. Uncivil or disorderly conduct is not permitted. The use of derisive or insulting language or the direction of remarks that defame, attack, or harass an individual may serve as cause for the board's chair to direct that the speaker immediately conclude his or her remarks. With that, our first speaker tonight is Doug Madosky, speaking about football.
President Hendricks, members of the board, Dr. Harper-Marinick, members of the CEC, and guests. My name is Douglas Medosky, and I am the District Athletic Specialist representative for the Athletic Specialist Employee Group and the head football coach at Scottsdale Community College. I am here today to represent the football coaches of this district, and more importantly, the several hundred current and future students that are impacted by the decision to eliminate football throughout this district. In Maricopa, we frequently use learning outcomes to justify decisions. In this case, the outcome does not add up to the decision. My goal for today is simply to make the governing board aware that this decision serves as an endorsement in the elimination of student opportunities for a population of students dominated by minorities. The Maricopa Priorities Task Force report on athletics may just as well be deemed the second political dossier of 2018, as it was commissioned solely to justify the elimination of athletics regardless of fact. This was accomplished through collusion between members of the committee that were both biased and compromised to deliver a predetermined outcome. Nearly half of the committee was comprised of members that have historically written papers or made statements to faculty senate groups of their individual disdain for athletics within the community college system. One of which was handpicked despite documented unanimous DAC objections. This particular individual was relieved of his duties as an athletic director after a lengthy human resources investigation determined that he had created a hostile working environment while serving as an athletic director at one of the Maricopa schools. It is the position of those representing the football student population that the decision and subsequent announcement to eliminate football was done in such a manner to both blindside students and to create the most damage possible for students. The decision was made after the winter recess, precluding several student athletes with scholarship opportunities from taking them, as they believed that returning to Maricopa schools was in their best interest, but now find themselves absent of coaches directly relied upon for personal growth. Furthermore, this decision fell just after the class refund date for many of our students, so that they were not able to recoup the financial investments that they had made in their educational experience should they have desired to transfer to another institution. Additionally, the decision came 2 days from National Letter of Intent Signing Day, leaving many prospective in-county students with no options, as they had already through the recruitment process passed up on various scholarship opportunities. No part of the timeline of this decision was about what we profess to be our #1 priority in Maricopa: the students, which is simply shameful. As coaches, parents, students, and prospective students, we have struggled to understand this decision and how it was reached. In October, the Chancellor stated that we would review athletics and football after the 2018 season, leaving each of us to believe that we too would have an opportunity to address concerns of this district as other athletic teams are being provided. In reviewing what little information we have surmised of this process, numerous narratives and numbers have been recklessly thrown about, which simply does not make this conversation any less of a black eye for the district. Information that has come out has been untrue or at the very least misleading. For instance, the district has stated there is a $23 million capital improvement needed in regards to the stadiums of the schools. Yet the report issued from the task force estimates a total of $5.2 million for all athletic venues rather than football in the district through 2020. This includes 2 schools that do not offer football opportunities for students. To date, there is yet to be a quote to verify any of these expenditures, and the missing or misreported nearly $18 million simply cannot be overlooked, simply stating that the outcome does not justify the decision. Additionally, student success metrics have been mentioned. The district themselves stated football players are not concerned with going to school or getting an education, when just the opposite is true. In published data from Scottsdale Community College in a cohort that spanned from 2010 to 13, the SEC football team outpassed the overall success rate of the campus as a whole by nearly 30%.
Your time is up. You're going to need to wrap up quickly.
Okay. And well outpaced the district. Again, the outcome does not justify the decision. Finally, while I understand the importance of funding and how funding reductions in state budgets and county property tax have had an adverse effect on Maricopa, not one person I've spoken to personally is ignorant of this fact. It is alarming, however, that football is categorized as unprofitable throughout Maricopa. I personally went through and calculated every student from the summer of 17, fall of 17, and this spring to calculate tuition paid, courses paid, and footsie numbers. I eliminated any non-credit courses as I recognize that they can be inflated and biased perspective. In doing this, I found that Scottsdale Community College alone made $305,979 in tuition and fees and $591,429 all-inclusive, including footsie. Additionally, the program accounted for 190.3 of footsie throughout the district. Certainly, the outcome does not justify the decision. It is my opinion that misleading and frivolous statements do little to grow public confidence in the district and serve to undermine the integrity of the Maricopa Community College District as a whole. It is concerning to me that the most honest and transparent people involved in this decision also happen to be the most compromised people involved in it. The 3 biased members that were a part of the task force.
We have another speakers. We have 3 minutes per speaker. I'm going to need you to wrap up right now.
Okay. I am hopeful that at your urging, we as stakeholders can have the opportunity to further discuss, to present real information, solutions as to avoid any further embarrassment for the district, and to find a way that the outcome can justify the decision. With that being said, I yield the floor, Mr. President, and look forward to any further remarks. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Mr. Joseph Kirsting.
Thank you, President Hendricks, Chancellor Harper-Marinick, CEC, and board members and guests. I'm a former football coach in this district, 21 years at Glendale Community College. I want to first start by quoting someone who had a huge impact on my life. His name was John Wooden. Wooden promoted the idea of a teacher coach. Wooden said that as a coach, you teach sports. However, according to Wooden, a coach has to be more concerned about the overall learning than just the sport or just winning the game. Wooden said it can be done in a way that's also helping them develop in other ways that will be meaningful forever. It's about building habits and practices that support students for life. This fall, we're going to have the 30th reunion of our first national championship team of 1988. And when I shared the information about the elimination of football with many of those young men, when they already knew it before I ever shared it, they were really devastated about the decision. One of my former players said, "Coach, they don't understand ROI." I said, "Well, Kevin, what's ROI?" He said, "Return on investment." He says, "If it wouldn't have been for Glendale football and Glendale Community College, I never would have accomplished the things that I have." And I don't say this to brag about myself, but I consistently hear that feedback from these young men that typically come to Maricopa Community College to play football, quite frankly. They're very driven, and people like Doug Madowski and the other coaches in the district, and what I tried to do when I was coaching is take that drive, that innate drive that an athlete has, and guide it and direct it and shape it so that they become better students, they become better people, they go on to have outstanding careers and can be an asset to their community and their families. We're frustrated. You could tell by Doug's talk. We just want an open, transparent, letting out of the information. There's so many inconsistencies. You know, the one he mentioned about capital investments. It said in there that Glendale's supposed to projected from the task force 1.43 million for capital investment, and then someplace else it says it's going to take 23 million to improve our stadium. Those numbers are way off. How can they be so far off? So that's where our frustration is. And we know as we're bringing big numbers into the college in terms of enrollment. And why would you threaten that? I don't understand. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Mr. Joe Springer.
Hi, Mr. President Hendricks, Dr. Harper-Marinick, members of the CEC, members of the board and guests. My name is Joe Springer. I'm a faculty member over at Glendale Community College. Been there since 2002. And what I want to talk about tonight briefly is just some of your concerns last week about, I believe it was called needless fear-mongering. There were a lot of people here last week, and some would say justifiably worried about things. And I want to say it's not so needless, the concerns that people have. And I need to maybe use an analogy here about what's going on. And my analogy would be, say I came from the government, say I was a government official, and I said, you know that First and Second Amendment? They were written back in the 1700s. Maybe they're a little bit outdated. Maybe we should replace them with something else. I don't know what we'll replace them with, because I haven't thought that far ahead about it. But But trust me, you guys will still have all of those freedoms that are enumerated in those amendments. If a government official came up to you and said that, would you trust them? I'm going to guess the answer is probably be no. In fact, in general, if someone comes up to you and says, trust me, that's usually kind of a danger signal there. But that's what I was hearing last week was we're going to be removing Meet and Confer, getting rid of some of that faculty governance, but trust us, nothing's bad's going to happen. I'm an Arizonan. I'm also a lifelong libertarian. And you'll understand it's kind of hard for me to trust a governing official when they say, trust me. It's just kind of in my blood there. So I'd like to have some verification. I don't see any reason why we should get rid of Meet and Confer. I don't see any reason why we should get rid of faculty governance. They are good things. I like meeting. I like conferring. I think faculty governance is good. And not only that, I got 27 pages of data that says that school districts that actually embrace faculty governance and collective bargaining, the students will actually see improvements, sometimes in SAT scores. It's kind of older data, but I know this was backed up by about 8 or 9 peer-reviewed sources. So I can leave that if you guys wanted to see that. But I just want to say that I don't see why we should be going this fast on this issue. This seems like a kind of a large government solution to a problem that does not exist. And the concerns the faculty have are real. This is a great district. It is nationally recognized as being a great district. It's because of the hard work of our faculty and even harder work of our students. So I just wanted to say that, and I'd like to hear some more information about why Meet and Confer should actually go away. But thank you very much for the opportunity to talk.
Thank you. Our next speaker, Colleen Gronke. Am I pronounced that anywhere near correct?
Close enough.
Okay.
President Mr. Hendricks, members of the board, Dr. Harper-Mayer-Nix, members of the CEC, and guests. My name is Colleen Gronke, and I'm a student at Glendale Community College. And I've got some concerns as a student, valid concerns. Rumor is going around that you guys will be dismantling or abolishing faculty contracts as they currently are. And, well, that kind of makes me worry because not to discount your adjunct faculty, because I have had both. I just want to say that there's a huge difference between faculty and residential faculty. You mentioned that we all have a job to do. Earlier you mentioned that, Mr. President. Well, from what I've seen between having residential faculty, and adjunct faculty, they don't look, your residential faculty doesn't look at it as a job. It's their livelihood. It is their livelihood to teach there. And they're available to the students, and your adjunct faculty are not available to the students for the help that they need or the concepts that they need to learn if they're struggling with them. Does that make any sense? I don't know. And by you abolishing these contracts, you are literally making it so their job security is being taken away. Their benefits will be taken away. And therefore, when you do things like this, you're lessening the quality of your staff. It's really important, and should be important to all of you, to have a binding agreement, knowing if you're going to have a job the next year, knowing if you're going to have a job the following year, and it's going to be at this and that term, in those terms. And I think it's horrible to treat your wonderful staff this way. They need job security. They need job security. And let me tell you what, I have my home is 2.5 hours away from here in Williams, Arizona. I come down here 8 months out of the year just to attend your school, because that's how much your faculty believes in your students and helps us students be successful. Adjunct There are some great adjunct professors out there. However, we're not their priority. We're kind of like a second job for them. With full-time residential staff, they're available for their students, and they're available to better that institution. Thank you for your time. Just please revisit this.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Lorena Austin.
Good evening, President Hendricks, members of the board, Chancellor Harper-Marinick, CEC, and guests. My name is Lorena Austin. I'm student body president at Mesa Community College. I'm here today to present a student senate resolution that was passed earlier today. And before I get to read the resolution, I would like you all to know that we have over 500 signatures from students throughout Maricopa Community College District in support of our faculty and staff, who are the backbone of this great institution, and they have changed our lives all for the better. If we had more time, I'm sure between classes and work we have to do as students to collect some of these signatures, there would be upwards in thousands, I assure you. So I will get to this resolution while I have time. And it reads, this is a resolution in support of Maricopa Community College District faculty. Whereas a proposed resolution from the Maricopa Community College District Governing Board was released on February 20th, 2018, which proposes the dismantling of faculty rights to actively participate in development of policies directly affecting accountability, organizational operations, and the terms of their employment. And whereas the Associated Students of Mesa Community College, or ASMCC, recognize that the active participation of the faculty in developing policies that affect accountability and organizational operations is essential to the functioning of an educational institution. And whereas the ASMCC further recognizes that the active participation of the faculty in developing policies that relate to the terms of their employment and professional activity is essential to recruiting and retaining high-quality faculty. And whereas the ASMCC further recognizes that a well-functioning educational institution with high-quality faculty is in the best interest of the students. And whereas express support from the student governments of Scottsdale Community College, Phoenix College, Estrella Mountain Community College, South Mountain Community College, Paradise Valley Community College, and Chandler Gilbert Community College have joined in this resolution. Therefore, be it resolved that the Associated Students of Mesa Community College and the colleges listed above respectfully urge the Maricopa Community College District Governing Board to reject the proposal to dismantle the existing Meet and Confer system and eliminate faculty rights to participate in policy development. We encourage the governing board to ensure students receive the highest quality of education possible and to recognize that quality education requires that faculty and staff be active participants in all aspects of policy development that directly affect them and govern the educational function of this institution. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker, Felicia Ramirez.
President Hendricks, members of the board, Dr. Maria Harper-Marinick, and members of the CEC, guests, fellow faculty, colleagues, and students. My name is Felicia Ramirez. I am proud to be a member of PVCC Communication and Humanities Division faculty. Teaching is my vocation. I also have the distinct privilege of being an alumni from Glendale Community College class of 2001. So I'm very proud of my fellow students speaking up here today in solidarity with faculty members. I am here tonight to express my outrage at the decision to change the RFP and to remove the Meet and Confer process. I'm here to ask you to show your support for teachers by not doing so tonight, by not changing the RFP and by not removing Meet and Confer. I'm deeply concerned that you as governing board members are so distant and remote from the employees who work in this district that you can so easily and without regard to our personal well-being make decisions that create a negative working environment, that detract from the strength of our district, and that distract us from the very essence and purpose of our existence, which is learning. It has been very challenging the past 2 weeks to focus on learning in the classroom because, as one colleague put it, we have a piano hanging over our heads. As I work with students, this governing board meeting tonight has been in the back of my mind. This morning, my mom gave me a gift, a ceramic bird bath, and I was really excited about it. And I picked it up to put it in the perfect spot, and it broke all over on the floor. And I thought, oh my gosh, it's an omen. And I know that you have mentioned that we have no reason to fear. And I think that's a very unfair comment. Critical thinkers try to think and feel as other people do. So in an attempt to be empathic and understand what we're going through, I think you should try to imagine being in our shoes and the kind of uncertainty that your decision to take these actions on tonight is creating. As a student of the system and as a student with family members who have attended Maricopa Community Colleges, my husband, my sister, my brother-in-laws, my sister-in-laws, we have all been students of Maricopa Community Colleges, and we believe that these colleges help promote social justice. So in my disappointment with the board tonight that what you're seeking to do is engage in an undemocratic process by removing Meet and Confer and creating an unjust system that is unfair for faculty, and I ask and strongly encourage you to please reconsider. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Annalise Harper.
President Hendricks, members of the board, Dr. Harper-Marinick, members of the CEC and guests. My name is Annalisa Harper. I teach communication at Scottsdale Community College. I was hired to teach intercultural communication. When I was hired, I had a PhD and I was a returned Peace Corps volunteer. Puedo hablar un poco de español. Since then, I participated in the early exchange programs that Maricopa offered the faculty, back when the board loved the faculty, worked with the faculty, and invested in the faculty. They worked with us together for the benefit of our students, so that our students can have a teacher like me today. I've been to China, I've been to the Netherlands, I've been to Turkey, and I did that with the support of this college system. I've also served a Fulbright to India and a Fulbright to South Africa. When I start talking to my students on the first day of class and I offer my credibility, my students sit in awe because they're like, wow, this is a community college and look who I have talking to me today. And I live up to their expectations every single day. I'm here because of the RFP, and I'm not stupid enough to think that if you remove the Meet and Confer clause from the RFP, that the RFP will continue to stand and that you'll be able to continue to attract confident, passionate, qualified individuals who change people's lives. Every single day we are in the classroom. I offer ideas they've never heard before. I need the RFP and the security so that I can continue to offer ideas that not everybody agrees with. But that as educators, we have to offer those ideas so that the minds, once stretched, never return to the original size. That's the goal of education. That goal rests on the RFP. I am a product of the RFP. Hundreds of people attending this meeting are a product of the RFP. We are here because we are qualified, because we care, because it's important to us, and because our students are of the utmost importance. And we can't relax in a classroom and be at our best if we are not protected in the job that we were hired to do. I'll end early for you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Sasha Rudisic. Am I close?
Sir, you had me at Sasha. President Hendricks, members of the board, Dr. Harper-Marinick, members of the CEC, and guests. My name is Sasha Radicic, and I'm the Faculty Senate President at Glendale Community College. No matter how good a driver you are, if you tear the seatbelts out of your car, it will make your passengers nervous. The RFP is the faculty's seatbelt. It is the contract that spells out all our protections as employees, and it created the environment that caused many of us to come here in the first place. While tonight's resolution will not harm anyone, it would revoke the document that protects us from harm. Even if no current board member or administrator acts on this, tearing out our seatbelts creates an environment where a future board or a future administrator could do so. That makes us nervous. We recognize that the RFP is a flawed document. It has rough spots and imperfections. However, it is the very best contract we have, and it shouldn't be abandoned until we have a replacement available that is superior. Perfect is the enemy of the good, and the RFP is a good document. I also want to speak about the faculty. You expect dedication from your faculty, and you should. But attracting and retaining excellent faculty requires a work environment where excellent faculty can thrive. The faculty care about the students. Without employment protections, we can't safely speak out about problems on the campus and in the classroom. The faculty care about education. Without academic freedom, we can't safely speak the truth about controversial issues in the classroom. And yes, the faculty care about job security. We have spouses and children and mortgages and car payments and bills. So unpredictable changes to our contract make it difficult to trust a career at Maricopa. The faculty here are dedicated to this place, and they care very deeply about what is happening tonight. As proof, please remember that today is National Pancake Day. Several hundred of us are attending this meeting rather than going to IHOP to eat a free short stack of pancakes. Ladies and gentlemen, if that's not dedication, I don't know what is. Thank you for your time.
Just for the benefit of the board members, I had indicated we'd have 5 speakers on each topic for 3 minutes each. Some of the speakers signed in indicating their topic was other. At this point, we have some others that did sign in to speak on the topic of Meet and Confer. Doesn't seem reasonable to penalize them when they did sign in and list their topic, so I'm going to continue with some additional speakers because I've already called on the ones that did not list their topic. Our next speaker is Peter Lupin.
President of the board, Mr. Hendricks, esteemed board members, Dr. Harper-Marinick, members of the CEC, college presidents, and guests. My name is Peter Lupu. I'm the chair of the Philosophy and Religious Studies Department at GCC, my home. GCC is my home. Is there anything else left to say to encourage you to do the right thing? I think so. Education is about persuasion. We are educators. When we enter into that classroom, we try to persuade our students that knowledge matters to them, to their life, that thinking matters to them. Meet and Confer is about persuasion. It's not collective bargaining. It is shared governance. We don't have, in the Meet and Confer, any of the powers of unions in collective bargaining. We only have the power of persuasion. And when persuasion works, and people come together and they manage to come up with a product with the right process, then that product has deep roots And this district needs deep roots to bring us all together. That's what the RFP is, and as Sasha said, it may be flawed, but there is a process, not personalities. It's not about personalities. I second the president of the board initial statement. It's not about personalities. It's about the process and the product. There is an alternative. I beg you, task the chancellor to have a task force to do this. And if that task force agrees on something, that will be much stronger for everybody, rather than do it in a unilateral way. I think the faculty will appreciate it, and it will strengthen all of us. Let us remember, education is persuasion. Persuasion, when it works, it's always much better. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think I can get this last one right. Frank Wilson.
President Hendricks, members of the board, Dr. Harper-Marinick, members of CEC and guests. My name is Dr. Frank Wilson. I am a Queen Creek resident, Air Force veteran, and small business owner. My wife and 3 of my children have grown personally as students of Maricopa Community Colleges. My wife's community college experience provided her a way to transition from being a full-time homemaker to becoming an owner of a highly successful school-based therapy business. Our family will forever be grateful for what the faculty and staff of the Maricopa Community Colleges have done for us. For the past 13 years, it has been my privilege to serve students in the community as mathematics faculty at Chandler Gilbert Community College. For 7 of those years, I've been deeply involved with the Meet and Confer process. I served on the team for 5 years, including 4 years as co-chair of the team. For the last 2 years, I've been providing data analytics support to the team. As I reflect upon my 20-plus years in higher education, I can say that some of my greatest learning experiences have come through my participation in the problem-solving process we call Meet and Confer. I have seen administrators and faculty set aside their biases and their job titles to tackle complex issues. Finding common ground when there are diverse interests is challenging, yet I've seen members of the Meet and Confer team step up to the challenge. I have watched the group work through conflict, find common ground, and innovate to craft solutions which serve Maricopa well. One of the things that has impressed me most about the team is the commitment to find the best solution, not just the quickest solution. By reaching out to constituent groups including CEC, the VPAA Council, the faculty, and others, the team has sought to anticipate and address any unintended consequences of proposed solutions. This deliberative, thoughtful process has made implementation of approved solutions easier and more effective. As is the case with any process in Maricopa, there are things that can make the Meet and Confer process better. There are numerous strategies that could increase the effectiveness of our problem-solving process. Getting rid of the Meet and Confer process itself is not one of them. I encourage the board to consider an alternative course of action. 1. Have board members identify what they perceive as specific problems with the current Meet and Confer process. 2. Empower the Meet and Confer team to research those problems, develop a deep understanding of the underlying issues, and innovate in crafting proposed solutions to address those problems. 3. Have the governing board vote to approve or disapprove the proposed solutions. This course of action is a win-win because it allows the governing board to assert its authority as the final decision maker. It preserves the spirit of collegiality, collaborative problem solving that extends far beyond the Meet and Confer process. And 3, it supports the governing board's values of inclusiveness, innovation, responsibility, community, excellence, and stewardship. Your vote today will send a strong message. It is my hope it will be a message of inclusion. Thank you.